Hey, what's up, everyone? This is John, the Bumbling Golfer here, episode number 29. I'm here with Greg Woodfield. He is the Backswing CEO. But before I get that going, I have some news. You might have seen it in my previous podcast, but you are now listening to the Bumbling Golfer Podcast, proudly brought to you by Spring Hollow Golf Club, the new home of the Bumbling Golfer, where you can play great golf, you can get great food. There's great events and just really the right amount of chaos. So, on to the podcast here, Greg. Let me get properly fitted here. Those of you who know me, it's hard to get a different hat on this head, right? It's either a Phillies hat or one of the other brands, but Backswing. This is a great hat, and you can see here. I'm always sporting the Backswing product in the view. So, Greg, thank you for joining me, man. I'm really excited to talk to you and learn. Well, I mean, I know a lot about Backswing. Thankfully, you've brought me on and you've trusted me and many other people with your brand. But I would love for you to share more about it with the people that do watch these videos and listen to the podcast.
Yeah, totally. One, thanks for having me. And obviously, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
John, you're incredible. And I just appreciate everything you do for Backswing. It's been fun to work together. And obviously, you saw our product from the inception when it was just a couple of drawings, really a wireframe, an idea that we brought to life, over 14 months and a lot of hard work. And so, obviously happy to give, the listeners kind of the rundown of Backswing, if you'd like me to jump into it,
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's my podcast, but you're the star here, right? So go ahead and let's hear more about it.
I don't know. John's the star in my opinion, but I appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, I've golfed my whole life, right? Like golf is practically a religion to me, I mean, I think it's a sacred game in a lot of ways, as weird as that sounds, because I think it does a lot more than just kind of like frustrate you. I think there's a lot of things that in the pursuit of mastery in a game that's impossible to perfect is something that I genuinely enjoy. And ever since I was a little kid, I grew up on golf courses. I worked on a golf course for 5 years. I was in a pro shop. And I remember, golfing at Mulligan's Golf Club in Pleasant View, Utah. Well, I guess it's
Okay.
far west Utah. And really small 9-hole track, tons of bays that you can hit golf balls from, nice range, a massive putting green. And it was something that I looked forward to in my youth going to as often as I could. And I remember my mom, we didn't have a whole lot of money I didn't have a whole lot of money in my family growing up. And I remember I'd go there and I didn't have money to play. I didn't even have golf clubs. I had like a putter. I
Yeah.
don't know how old that putter was, but I'd sit and I would putt on greens and I'd do it every single day. And I just putt and chip, and then I got to know the pro there, and his name was Jimmy Blair. He actually played on tour, and he has a son. He's on the Corn Ferry, but he's played on tour. His name's Zach Blair, and I
Okay.
grew up with Zach Blair, and kind of playing with him in my youth. And I remember I would be the kid that'd be like, "Hey, can I come golf with you?" And I remember Jimmy Blair actually gave me like one of my first sets of clubs, and it was just like an old crappy pair of clubs. They're all too big for me.
Yeah,
But I
but they meant everything to you, right? They
yeah,
meant
yeah.
everything to
Like,
you. Yeah.
and then I remember my barber like would give me his like old like golf magazines, and I would sell them. Actually, I'd sell them like on the corner street, like I'd sell like candy or lemonade, and I'd sell golf magazines, and that's kind of how I
Love
paid,
that.
kind of how I paid for golf. And so, yeah, like golf has been, a part of me my whole life, and then I was on the high school team, and I love that. And then my had like really good mentors in golf, and it was just a blast. And I kind of went into this different world rather than kind of pursuing or chasing golf and like trying to go through college and other things, which I really regret doing. But in a weird way, life has a weird way that this life has a way of pointing you back to the thing that I feel like you love,
Absolutely, completely agree.
and passion for. And so I went into tech. I created a company called Via back in 2018, and we raised about $80 million for that company in venture capital. And I was a co-founder of that. And we were in text marketing, out of all things, for like e-com brands. So worked with a lot of the brands that you see today, leveraging their audiences to push messaging and make money and monetize through SMS. And so grew that. It was an amazing run. I mean, it was a 4-year life changer for me in finances, but also just the opportunity to kind of see what was next. So exited in 22, went and did some real estate investing, did some, boards. And I've always known that I would rather operate than maybe invest or kind of sit on a board. Not to say that they're boring, but for me, I love building, I love disrupting, and I kind of had this opportunity where I was sitting in my basement one night and I was booking on this app called Atom. And it's a pretty popular app out here in Utah, but you can book your movie times on it. And you can invite your friends to play and sit, or not play, but sit next to you and watch a movie. And they can pay for their own seats, and they can also buy their own concessions, and they can, kind of like see where you're sitting. And then it will remind you on your, Apple Watch, like, hey, leave now, you're going to be late for your movie. You walk in, your concessions are waiting, you scan your QR code, and you walk in the movie theater. And I just thought that experience was like, I felt like kind of a private guest at a public movie theater. And
Yeah,
so
it sounds amazing.
it was just kind of this sweet experience that I really liked. And I'm like, I would use that every time, because the alternative is going and looking up movie times at different websites or going to a newspaper. And, I ended up booking a tea time that night. And I just thought to myself, I have to manage multiple logins at multiple different courses. I have to call pros who probably don't really want to be called, because they're being called constantly.
Yeah.
And then I have to go and juggle different websites. And then I'm texting my friends. And then I'm usually the one who's paying for everybody. And so I just had thought, like, man, like that Atom experience kind of translated over to this like app experience would be pretty cool. And then got to the course the next day. And then, I jumped into the cart, and, my friend pulls out 18 birdies. I was pulling out blue tees,
Yeah.
got out my speaker, and then like, we're kind of talking about banker, and I'm doing like calculus basically on like, my scorecard.
Yeah.
And after the round, we're settling up. So he's like paying with cash, I'm paying with Venmo, and just started thinking about like, there's a couple of different experiences that a golfer has that are real pain points. And they start off with, before the course, I got to book a tee time, and it's a massive pain in the ass. And then it's like, now that I'm at the course, I have several apps that I could choose from, but it's like usually either you have a digital rangefinder, you have a manual rangefinder that you use that you pull out, like a Vortex rangefinder or something like that. And then you're keeping score, and then you're keeping score on like a scorecard, and then you're inputting those scores into like Gin for your handicap,
Yeah.
and then you're Venmoing, and none of that experience actually ties back to the course. And then I went into the course after my round, and I started talking to the club pro, and I'm like, hey, like, how many softwares do you use like to run your course? And he's like, well, I use this for my tee sheet. I use this for my inventory. I use this to notify golfers if there's open rounds. I use this for my tournament software. Use this for my food and beverage. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you really feel like things have been innovating over the last 10 years? And they're like, very seldomly, we get pitched a lot of different ideas. And most people have really the same thing, just kind of looks different. And so I sat in my car, and I just remember taking out my iPad, and I just was drawing like app, course management software, and a bunch of lines. And
Yeah.
it was just like, this ecosystem in golf needs to change, because it's very transactional, it's very antiquated, it's siloed. There's got to be ways that you can connect the golfer and the course, but also give both what they want, which is a better experience, something that feels natural in your hand. And from sitting in my car to 15 months later, Backswing really has been born. And so, we launched our app 4.5 months ago. The first part of our app is to solve for tee times. Now, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's like desktop aggregators you can look through. Golf Now is pretty popular, Supreme Golf, like they've been in the industry for a long time. But I kind of noticed like some basic things that were kind of unfair. Like one were the fees, like paying $140 a year or 1048, like
Yeah.
for a convenience fee didn't really feel right. Charging courses to list their courses on the app. and then you're now training the golfers for discounted rates, then the course is now competing against their own discounts, where tee sheets will still remain full for the most part.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's some things that probably could change in that model. And so when I had thought about Backswing, I said, I'm going to solve simple pain points. One login. So I never have to log into another like tee sheet again. Like I don't want to have to keep track of my passwords, change them multiple times, dig in my email to try to
Yeah.
find that. The second thing was I want to be able to find a course very easily. So we actually just released the ability to search by time
Hmm.
at your favorite courses, the ability to search by course, and the ability to search by map. So whatever kind of suits your fancy as far as like the way that you like to search. So if it's I find 3 courses that I regularly play or my favorites, I just want to know morning times, it will pull in all the morning times available at those 3 courses. So I'm like, I want easy search. The last thing is I want an easy booking flow. So I want to invite my friends, which we made changes to our groups and our group selection. So you can invite your friends to it. So whether they have the app or not, if they don't, they'll get a text. If they do, they'll get an invite via the app to pay actually their portion of the bill, which is the last pain point, which is rather than you being the one stuck with the bill, it's you can send your friend an update and say, hey, pay your portion. So there's just kind of this simple concept, and to try to do that for $3.99 for a booking, so like $1 per golfer, made sense to me. That I'm
Yeah.
like, I think this is the future of booking, where more and more people are going to get off desktop, less calls, and be mobile first.
Yeah.
And so that's what's available today at over 4,500 courses across the US. I mean, in less than 4 months, we've amassed almost 10,000 downloads of the app. So we're definitely not, anything massive, but I definitely feel like we're on the right trajectory where we're having organic downloads happening every day. We have bookings happening every day. We have repeat bookings happening every day. So we have like clear signals that golfers are wanting this, whether you're just starting, you're like an advanced golfer, or you're kind of just in the middle of the pack where you just want an easier way to book your tee time.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, number one, like, I don't like calling golf courses, right? Because they're busy, right? You're always put on hold. I know how busy it can get, right? And there's one person normally answering. There's 5 different calls happening. They're calling it, looking for tee times, looking at tee sheets, all that stuff. I mean, I see the value add in it, and that that alone is worth its weight, right? But yeah, I mean, to your point, you can go online, you can look at aggregators, you can find a site that will work for you, but you might, I mean, no one carries like everyone carries a phone, right?
Yeah.
So apps are really the way to go. And I mean, to your point, I have a rangefinder. I like it, but I love GPS, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I use 18 birdies, and then there's other ones, and everyone's like, oh, we use this one, and yeah, I'm like, hey, did you look at Backswing, right?
Yeah.
Like to book, and they're like, well, how much is that? I was, it's free. Just
Yeah.
download it, right? And
Yeah.
then you can do all of these cool things because to your point, I can't tell you how many times I have like, and maybe I'm giving my secrets away to some of the guys I play golf with, but sometimes I just won't go play golf because I know I'm going to get stuck with the bill, right?
Yeah.
Like, which is not a problem, but
Yeah.
it's still nice to know that like, hey, I got this round, you got next round, and we can just do it like
Yeah.
on our phone, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole idea is just like, golfers will play more golf, I think, as a result of easier convenience. I also think it will promote less, I don't want to call out the flaky golfers, in a bad way, but it's just like the reality of you flaking out on a tee time, one, it hurts your buddy and him stuck with, call it a rain check,
Yeah.
which is like in club credit, where he could have used that money at maybe another club to play. So it kind of sucks for you. But the other side to it is, your courses are losing anywhere from 40 to 80 grand a year in no shows.
Yeah.
And so that actually hurts the municipality. So if you're not aware of actually how most courses operate, cities subsidize these courses, and they're expensive to run mainly
Yeah.
just due to maintenance. I mean, it's a lot of grass to cut, it's a lot of
Yeah.
water, a lot of fertilizer to try to keep them nice. And, that money they heavily rely on. But then the other side is pros only if they're part of a municipality, they only make money off of the pro shop sales. Some of them are grandfathered into other deal
Hmm.
structures, like call it cart rentals, rentals for golf clubs, maybe banquets, food and beverage, some of their inventory in the pro shop or most of their inventory in the pro shop, and then their lessons. And so that 60 grand could go to maybe an assistant club pro that could run the front desk. So that way that pro can go teach more and actually make more money.
Yeah,
Like,
generate this. It's a revenue generator,
yeah.
right? Like that's the only way these places make money.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of negative connotation around pros because yeah, there are definitely like poor experiences that golfers can have with club pros. But I have a, soft spot for these club pros where Monday through Sunday they work at the course. They're up early at 6 or earlier, and most of them are staying fairly late, for you to
Yeah.
come back in because they love the game of golf and they don't make much money doing it. And you think that they get to play a lot of golf, but they really don't. And
No.
I think technology has kind of like really missed the mark when it comes to like serving the pro in a way that they can do the things that they love.
Yeah.
And, I'll talk about that in a minute, but as we're going to be releasing, more things in April. So like we've been really focusing on like booking accuracy, booking speeds, a lot of the feedback that we get from our consumer, because believe it or not, apps aren't perfect, neither are technology. And so we're no different to that role. The thing that I love is we have an awesome community that actually gives us feedback and we listen and we want to do right by the golfers. So our next aim is for our on course play. So when you get to the course, you'll be able to click begin round in the same app, have your digital rangefinder, have your scorekeeping, have the games inside the app. And we're working on a USGA integration. So that way, when you do log in through Backswing, if you do stroke play and you input it into Backswing, it will just tie to your GIN account.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way you don't have to bounce back and forth, which is really nice. And then the P2P or peer-to-peer payment platform, which allows you to send and receive payments from your friends.
Yeah.
So buy like, beers, whatever, hot dogs for your friends, like you can kind of trade that money back and forth and it goes into your Backswing wallet, which you can deposit out or leave there for future kind
Yeah.
of or
Yeah. I mean that solves a huge problem. Like I don't carry cash on me because I spend it, right? But if I don't, like, I'll hit a credit card here and there or whatever, but it always takes longer. So yeah, I mean, some of my buddies, that's all they carry is cash, right? I literally will go buy stuff I don't even need if I have cash in my hand, right? I'll buy
yeah,
it, it's terrible. But I think that's a great advantage, right? Because you have guys that are the good schedulers, right? So hey, I got tee times, and the other guys are like, oh, hey, can you get me on that tee time? It's like, no, it's too late. Like there's no, you can't get on, right? So if you can find your crew to get, booked in advance, I think that's a huge advantage.
yeah, and it definitely commits more people. I mean, I think that call it booking apps or whatever would say like, oh, we're going to bring so many more tee times, but I feel like that's a total bag of shit if I'm being completely honest,
Yeah,
because
I'm with you.
golfers are going to golf regardless, and if golfers are still calling into pro shops, still logging in, honestly, it's because this problem still hasn't been solved in a way that makes golfers really want to switch and engage with it. And that's my aim, is to try to kind of break the mold of why a golfer would actually want to use you. It's because you deliver an experience that actually solves the pain points. And that's on the consumer side, right? So that's to the golfers. Now, Backswing is actually building an entire ecosystem, and this is a long-term goal of ours, right? So when you think about the course management software, and there's 5 different softwares, if we own that entire ecosystem, you would be able to book a tee time, book a lesson, book a tournament, create a league, join a men's league, buy a digital punch pass, buy buckets of balls, sign your kids up for junior lessons, you name it, because you actually have the consumer app that's tied to what the course is running.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a harder thing said than done, but or done than said. But like I think for me, when I think about the future Backswing, we are going in the direction of a full ecosystem from golfer to pro shop, which it takes time, right, to get in these pro shops, to develop those relationships, to showcase your software, and actually show like we're not here to actually take the money from you.
Trying to
We have,
create efficiencies.
yeah, we want to create efficiencies,
Mhm.
operational efficiencies, less transactional relationships with your consumer, and actually remove some of these blockers that you have. So this is actually brand new. So we just acquired a company called Pro Shop Caddy, which is a huge deal. So it's officially closed as of
Congrats, man. Congrats. That's good.
pretty amazing that we're actually selling to Pro Shops, which is our voice AI agent. And this is a massive thing, as you mentioned, like calling into Pro Shops. So what I've learned as far as like the data is concerned around Pro Shops, most Pro Shops are answering anywhere from 20 to 100 calls a day or more in peak season. And if you think about those calls, like if you're just doing like just basic, kind of call volume where it's like if I did like 100 calls at, 3 minutes a call, you're talking about, 300 minutes of call time. You're talking about they're on the phone between 3 and 5 hours a day.
Yeah. And by the way, that's normally one person.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I say like if a pro isn't as honky dory happy to like talk to you, it's because they have a phone that they're strapped to, right?
Yep.
And they don't miss that because that's revenue to the course and they're expected to answer that. That's a part of their job from what they get paid by the city, plus what they're getting paid in commissions is they have certain tiers to where they should be above that, or the course can simply just go away. And it
Not to
happens.
not to mention some of them, they're out there, they're selling golf balls, they're selling shirts, they're selling and putting hot dogs on the hot dog roller, right? They're
Yeah,
stocking the refrigerator. They're
yeah,
doing all those things. So yeah, I mean, from an efficiency perspective, I see it. I was just at the club that I'm partnering with, and you can see like, even I mean, we have snow everywhere still.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
complete crap, but
yeah,
yeah, man, I know what it's like in the middle of the summer here, and by the way, you guys have had like 10,000 downloads in the last 4 months.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
even golf season, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually,
So
it kind of blows me away, the support that we've had. And I'm a big fan of authenticity. Like what you see is what you get with Backswing. Like
that's why we get along so well, Greg.
yeah, like we don't shy away from our problems, but we
Yeah,
also know that we're golfer first. Like I am a golfer. I'm an avid golfer. Like when it's not cold and even when it's cold, like I was golfing in a blizzard the other day, but it's
yeah.
just like I will take any chance I can, get to be on a golf course. And so I want to make sure that if I'm willing to use the app, right, and I know quite a bit about golf and golf's history and PGA, Live, Corn Ferry, you name it, like I'm all over the place when it comes to golf because I'm a golf nut. I love the game of golf
Yep.
and I want to see it continue to move forward, but I do kind of look 10 years back and 10 years forward and I think okay, I have an 8-year-old kid, a boy, and it's like if he's still booking on a desktop and calling the pro, I will have like missed the mark.
Yeah.
And so with Pro Shop Caddy, the cool thing about our software is that if you were to call Valley View Golf Course in Utah today, they're closed right for the season. They're doing parking lot renovations, but their bays are still open. And the unique thing is that when you hear the word AI, like it's such a buzzword in technology
Yeah.
right now, and people are like thinking like, oh, it's the future, it's going to displace so many jobs, which is true. There are definite jobs that AI will displace, namely being like copywriters
Yeah.
and in marketing. Like there's a lot. But when it comes to this agent, we can name the agent, we can have the voice be whatever you want. It will greet you and say, hey, how are you doing today? This is Value View Golf Course, just like it would be a person.
Yeah.
And the aim with, some of these pros we've been piloting it with, they're like, the best day of the year is when I'm closed and I don't have to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Because over 20 years, they're like, I'm attached that thing. I hate that thing. That's why they know you to a certain degree well. But at the same time, they want the autonomy to do other things in their pro shop. They want the ability to get their time back. They want to make more money. They want to save more time. They don't want to have to hire other people,
Yeah.
And so what's really unique is we've taken, I think, just over like 4 or 5 thousand calls, at a closed course where our agent is answering those questions where it's like, hey, it's closed for renovations. Do you have any other questions that I can help you with? And they'll be like, hey, how much are junior golf clinics?
Yeah.
AI agent answers the question. Are your bays still open? AI answers the question. Hey, can I sign up for lessons? AI then says, okay,
I
lessons
feel
are
like I
available,
want to call this when we're done on this
right?
podcast. I just want to hear what it
It'll
sounds like.
actually, it will blow you away.
Yeah.
And for me, although I'm in tech, like I definitely kind of have this really unique position where it's like, although I'm younger, right, than you, and I'm a little older than probably the crowd, it's like my first keyboard really like lesson was in seventh grade.
Yeah.
And then like I kind of have this weird like dichotomy of like iPad and growing through this kind of like tech boom into
Yeah.
like leveraging it for everything now, where my son, 8 years old, is doing everything on an iPad,
Yeah.
where it's like he's not like outside of like he has to kind of learn writing.
Yeah.
It's like everything is done and submitted through an iPad. So this digital age of these kids who are going to look at everything across the spectrum is
Yeah.
coming, and golf's no different. And I think the beautiful thing about our Pro Shop Caddy is we've saved an average of 25 hours of calls for one Pro Shop.
Wow.
We have a 95% resolution rate. And the 5% that aren't resolved are then forwarded on to the Club Pro. So that means that the Club Pro, where we can kind of adjust it in the prompt and we can actually tailor the prompt to the course. So it's not like a one size fits all. It's a very tailored approach to when are you open? Where's your parking? Anything you want them to know, upcoming leagues,
Yeah.
any one of those questions, and changing in season. And we're actually finding through these recordings, it's like we can say these are your highest dispositions, whether it's tee times, no shows. We can actually kind of like flag those, and it's really, really cool data. And so we're actually selling that, and it's been very well received because pros see it as, well, I'm going to save an average of 40 grand a year by not having to hire two more people to man the phones, because
Yeah.
that's hire people. And then I also get more data back that tells me what golfers need to know. And then it's like the first line of defense for like dumb calls. Let's say you go to a resort, it's like, where do I park? That's a 2-minute call that, again, they could be talking to you face to face at the pro shop and building a better relationship with their frequent flyers, at their course. And so we just started releasing that, or we're just starting to sell that product. And Backswing's young, we are a young company, but I feel like we have such an incredible team. Like I definitely give them a shout out because our team cares like really deeply. And I think that's like half the battle of building great companies is,
Mhm.
do you have people that care outside of just you about this problem? And I can firmly say that our team cares. We want to change and disrupt not the game of golf, but the way that golfers and pros interface with one another through the medium of technology.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you guys are helping. Number one, you show up, right? Like I met Hayden at the Creator Open. Great dude, super helpful. And I saw you guys were at the PGA show. I don't know if you were there, but I know he was there.
yeah, yeah, I was there.
Um, you guys have had, by the way, I think the caddy bibs were super forward thinking. Like something so simple using it, obviously technology, the QR code. Um, but at the end of the day, you guys are showing up, and I think the one thing you and I've talked about, I think in the past is, and I've talked about this with other people. You're helping people gain access, right? And like real access. It's not like, oh, hey, I'm going to show up at this. Like you can actually plan in advance, right? Yeah, of course. I'll just talk about here. I mean, Greg, I've had to drive an hour away from where I live to get a tee time. And I'm right outside of Philadelphia. There are dozens of golf courses. I have to
Yeah,
go to like Hershey, not Hershey, but like out towards Hershey, out towards Central PA. Great golf courses out there. Not
yeah,
complaining about that. But in order to get a tee time, you can't get a tee time from 6 a.m. until the last tee time, which might be 6 p.m., right? Or 7 p.m., depending on the time of the year. And now you can do it like, if I'm at home and I don't know, I'm a big afternoon golfer, but I'll cut the grass on a Saturday, look at the app and say, I have to be honest, I haven't used the app. I've had issues, but I tell everyone about it. I will be using it. By the way, Spring Hollow is on the app, just so
yeah,
we
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you guys are solving problems. And one of the biggest things the reason that I do this podcast and the reason I make content is because I want people to understand it's accessible, right? And I like to partner with companies like Backswing and other companies that are like, hey, I want to help you go out and enjoy what you do. So, from my perspective, from a golfer's perspective, and I don't have a busy life, but I'm
Yeah.
very particular in when I play, right?
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
I have the option to go and, schedule it ahead of time, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, we spent 14 months building, a concept, and then you launch this kid into market. And the thing is, I don't care if anybody tells me my kid is ugly. I want to know that. I want to know where we're failing, why we're failing, what courses we're failing on, because to build and how complex it is to build when you have, AI tied to it, bots, connections, integrations. There's very few course softwares that are like standardized across like every course for their
Yeah.
T sheets. Sometimes it could be they make you log in before, sometimes they make you log in after, sometimes they make you log in during, sometimes it's 9 holes only, 18 holes only, men's leagues, women's leagues. There's so many different variables that you have to account for. And software is built by humans. You're going to have bugs. But the beautiful thing is, after launching it, we kind of launched it at the tail end of the season. We started getting that feedback, right? And most of it was like user enhancement, speeds, accuracy, to tee time, like, hey, the tee sheet is available, right? Or the tee sheet's not available. And so all of those comments do not fall on deaf ears because I want to be successful. Like, just as much as I want to make a hole in one, never made a hole in one as much as
Me
I've gone
either. Me
in my
either.
life. So to
Yeah.
every one of you hole in oneers out there, like, congrats.
Yeah.
But there's still some of us
I've
trying to
done
chase.
it on a sim, but I've
Yeah.
I've set it up to be like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for me, it's just like the feedback and getting that feedback, especially with what we're launching in April. We've knuckled down like very, very heavily to where it's like we know that if booking speeds can't be reduced by a certain amount of minutes, no one's going to use the app. We know that if people can't have their bookings show up with what they can exactly see on the T sheet, no one's going to use the app. We know that if we don't get UX and search and filter like tuned in and finally tuned in to location, we know that people won't use the app. And why I say that and why I'm probably the hardest critic more than any of the feedback that anybody's giving us, truthfully. It's because it's a consumer-based product. And consumers are ruthless because for 20 years, apps have been in existence,
Mhm.
and you are going to compare Backswing to Uber. And that's the way, subconsciously, that's what happens in an experience with anybody who uses tech is you're comparing a brand new startup to somebody who's invested more than $100 million into this
Yeah.
to have that experience, call it version 100 of flawless execution. Now, doesn't mean that you can't get there, but the reality is if people stop giving you feedback or you actually don't fix those problems, then that's on you. Like, your company is just going to die by 1,000 paper cuts. But I think for us, especially with like directions that we're going, what we're releasing, the amount of courses we're adding, and really fine tuning that and staying true to who we are, it's like we just want to be Backswing. We don't want to be anybody else. We want to be who we are, which is solving your pain point when you log in, when you book, when you invite your friends, and then you go play golf. And being world class at that is more than important to me. If that's the remainder of 2026, then including our entire product roadmap, because it's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
to take on the ecosystem of golf, it requires a ton of capital, it requires a ton of time, a lot of product development. And, unless you really built something like this, it's a lot more challenging to really deliver that experience in a speedy manner without repeating the same mistakes.
Well, I
But
mean, a comprehensive option doesn't exist, right? So
yeah,
you guys are literally building the plane as it's flying, right? As
yeah,
people say, right? And I can say this, I think anyone who listens to this can understand. I'll just talk about my normal workday, right? If I have to use a database, if I use an ERP system, but then I have to pull the information out of there into Excel, then I have to do all these calculations and tabulations and then upload it into back into
yeah,
that's frustrating, right? And this is the same thing, right? Like, yeah, I'm a little older than you, right?
Yeah,
Um, but at the same time, I remember when the internet didn't exist, right? I
yeah,
remember that. I remember when I got told that our phone bill was crazy high because I was on dial-up, right? For and like some long distance call, which doesn't even exist anymore, right?
yeah,
But so I'm a little bit more patient, but you're right. I mean, I talk to my kids. My kids are 20 and 22,
yeah,
and if they're on an app and it doesn't work within like 3 seconds, or they delete it and they find another one,
yeah.
right?
And that's just the reality of consumer-based products that you compete against because you're not competing against the market. You're actually competing against experiences that you're used to having.
Yep.
And that's why, like, I think sometimes the best ideas before they die, before they even get started. And so our app is like data legitimacy, and we're focused on growing, and it's growing and it's going to continue to grow. And as we get bigger, but with like we release new product every 2 weeks. And what I mean by that is we take feedback. I get texts, I get DMs, I get friends calling me, I get people I don't even know that are across the world here or in Florida or Pennsylvania or New York or wherever, right? Messaging me saying, "Hey, Greg, if you have this, could you just make these two changes?" And it's like, hell yeah, I want to make those two changes, but the complexity of making those two changes across 4,500 courses could be pretty like impactful. So it's like we have to take a lot of the noise, which we know is important, and then we want to get to it. Then we have to really dial in what we're focused on, which is how do we build a world-class booking app just to start before we move on to on-course and mobile app. Because no matter what, if we don't get that consumer at the booking to be happy and to say, I want to use this every time I book, there's no way that they would even either pay a subscription, which would be 60% cheaper than the market.
Yep.
There's no way that they're going to use the other features of the app. And so it kind of kills it before it gets started. So for me, every 2 weeks we're releasing, but then we have a 6 month roadmap. And in that 6 month roadmap, we're basically taking those bigger builds and building them and QA testing them or quality assurance testing them, going through them, testing them ourselves, getting users to give us feedback. Like that's a huge thing. Like getting users to just sit down with you, right, is like pulling teeth because they don't care as much as you. This is just something for them that just makes their life easier. So
Yep.
when you can get like you, John, who are like, dude, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Awesome. I've written it all down. I take it back to the product team. Matter of fact, we have what's called the Backswing Lab where we go into the lab and it's just like, okay, here's all the things that our users are saying about our app. Here's all the things that need to be fixed in our app. Let's prioritize this into our roadmap. Here's 2 weeks that we're sprinting towards releasing this. And I think it's going to be pretty special in April as we're releasing like a lot of those pieces that golfers have been craving, where it's like, oh man, that's amazing. And then all the partners that didn't want to work with us because we weren't really anybody. And now that we kind of have some traction, it's pretty unique to see a lot of those partners come around and say, hey, we're willing to give you integrations to our course, or we're willing to give you integrations to our software. And that unlocks one-click bookings with us. And then in addition to that, it's like, some of these like tournament-based software, there's so many different people who are
Yeah.
like, hey, do you want to work with us? And so like we have conversations with like Girls Go Golfing, they have 14,000 members and they want to tie like their membership to our app. And then we have the USGA that's wanting to talk to us. We have section heads of the PGA that are wanting to talk to us. And
And
it's,
that's the bigger picture, right? Like I
yeah,
remember when
yeah,
you first started, I was like, "Hey man, like I'm not seeing these courses." And you're like, "Yeah, we're getting kicked off like they're kind of like trying to keep us off of their deal." And I guess your persistence and your ideas and all
yeah,
the forward thinking stuff that you got, like you're solving problem. Like here's what I think, and sorry, this is what I do on the Bumbling Golfer. I just jump in and start
oh,
talking about shit.
do it.
But I think the important thing is like I think on the surface, people like me are like, yo, you guys are solving a problem for me to schedule my golf, right?
Yeah,
It's so much bigger than that. Like you guys are solving golf business
yeah,
problems, right? And and I think that's something that is different. And you guys are I love what you said about you want to make a best in class or world class app, right? You're making sure the scheduling piece is right, and then you
Yeah.
will move on to the next one. I mean, no companies do that anymore. Everyone
Yeah.
does everything at
Well,
one time and it turns into crap.
let me give you like kind of this breakdown. And for anybody who really cares, like, or who doesn't care, like, feel free to tune out, but like tune back
Yeah.
in a minute here. But like, for those who actually care about like the process of building, now there's service-based companies, right? Where it's like, I have a contract, I provide a service, I bill you based off that contract, I collect money. And that's really hard to do, right? It sells, it's service, and it's just on repeat. In tech, right? We came up with an idea that did not exist from the perspective of no one offers the split payments, right? No one's really forging group creation the way that we did. Our competitor has 2,900 courses. They've been in business for 14 years.
Yeah.
Say they have 13,000, but they have 2,900 registered courses.
Mhm.
We were like, day one, we're going to have 4,500 courses. By the end of year one, we're going to try to be at 7,000 courses. And by year two, we're going to have every course that we possibly can, up to 10,000 of the municipal courses, where we own 90%, maybe not of the booking market, but we actually, by and large, have the most supply of courses to the golfer.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're going to focus on course supply. We're going to focus on speed, accuracy, consistency, right? And to develop all that, we've spent over 800 grand to get you that little tiny app into your hands.
Yeah.
Right. And that requires your front end developers, your back end developers, your CTO, your head of product, your quality assurance engineer. That requires a project manager. That requires me sitting in front of my computer commenting on these Figma boards for 14 months in a row, staying up till 4 a.m., like most nights, including weekends, holidays, course feedback, you name it. And I don't need to like say, hey, I'm Professor Busy Pants over here. I'm just trying to illustrate that to get something new into market to the everyday consumer, it just solves me getting on a course faster. But to me, it's like I'm living, eating, breathing, sleeping, working out of our basement with 8 other people. You know, we have, I think, well, yeah, we have 23 total employees here at Backswing. And we're working every single day. Like, I went to bed, I think, at 4 o'clock last night, woke up at 7, had meetings all day up until this point. And it's like every day, all we're doing is just trying to chip away at that vision of trying to create the new era of connected golf. And
Yeah.
that's what I care about. Like, I love what I do. I love the golfers I get to engage with. I love the conversations I get to have. I love the golf courses I get to go play, you know, the events I get to be a part of. And overall, it's like every app, and it's kind of unique because, like, even with DoorDash is a multi-billion-dollar company. And I try to order pizza for my son's birthday party. He's 2. He turned 2 a couple weeks ago, and that pizza never came to our house. It was like $37, right? So we ended up having to go out and eat for his dinner, which is unplanned. DoorDash was blaming the restaurant, and I'm like, but I'm your consumer on your app. You're positioning it on the restaurant,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm not expecting a full refund, but I'm like, either you get the pizza or you give me credits. Like, this is kind of
Yeah.
how this should work, right? And I'm just like, that's us, because if you can't get that experience to really work, then nobody's going to buy your Dash Pass. But the reality is, if it's the only thing that's out there, I'm still ordering on DoorDash the next week amidst the crappy experience. And so what we know is that, and I don't want to position us as like crappy experience, because we're at about an 87% success rate with our bookings, full transparency.
Yeah.
Our speeds remain anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes on booking. And in April, all of those things are going to change, especially with some of the early signs that we've seen and what we've been hearing and trying to change. And so the unique thing is we'll have more courses, more partnerships at being 4 months into market, but we're raising another round of funding right now. We have a lot of interested partners. Capital is a true differentiator in building, a tech startup. Having gone through it before and raised quite a bit of capital, it's just like, that's how you can kind of scale things faster, because it takes time, again, and a lot of money to build. But the thing that I'm just excited for is, like, again, like, all these things I'm saying is to kind of give you insight to what Backswing is and the kind of like a peek underneath the hood that probably most founders will shy away from. But I don't shy away from like the ability to build, because I will tell you by the end of 2026, Backswing is going to be a pretty special app. I believe so in the market, because we're willing to take that feedback, turn it into raw and authentic feedback for our team,
Yeah.
and build against that feedback, and then just stack bricks, right? Because you can't build a house without stacking the bricks, right?
So what's been the biggest roadblock for you, other than, and I don't know if I can either say, other than like the financial piece, right? Having, because I have friends that have started up companies, not tech companies, but what you talk about here reminds me a lot of my buddy Justin, who owns a scramble house. He just opened a third location up in Rochester, New York. But, he always tells me, he goes, no one cares. No one cares what you're doing as long as you deliver the product that they want. You could be
Yeah,
up 24 hours a day for 8 days. No one cares, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm here and I have the app, right? I'm sharing it with a bunch of people,
yeah,
and I need to do a better job of that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just pushing a button and I expect it to work, right? And so I have a little bit of a peek behind that, not from a tech perspective, right? But from a startup or a small business, right? I mean, you say you have 23 employees. Justin has three locations. I think he has three employees,
yeah.
right? And he depends on other people to help him, but it comes down to exactly what you said. Like, and I'm not saying I don't care, right? But you can say you're up until 4 a.m. and you're back, you sleep for
Yeah.
2 hours or 3 hours, you're back up. Like, no
Yeah.
one really cares, right?
No one cares. And
Yeah.
that's why I said, like, I put my pants on like everybody else. I work hard for my family. I have
Yeah.
two kids, married, right? Like, but no one makes changes unless you're willing to continue to get through the nose, continuing to like, it's kind of interesting, but it's just like, it's like, do you take the risk or do you lose the chance?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've kind of thought a lot about, where it's like, and then just kind of like, ideas are worthless without execution. The reality is, and I think this is like a pretty good story, is that, I'm no Steve Jobs, like I'm not.
Yeah.
But when I think about Steve Jobs and I think about the first iPhone that was created and how disruptive that was, the first iPhone was only on 2G when 3G was the premier. It was like 5G, LTE, all that crap
Yeah.
today. But truthfully, they were on 2G network and they were only available on AT&T.
Yeah. I remember that.
Like, you have to think about that. The iPhone today, right? The camera, they offered apps, they offered a bunch of different things, and they had so many bugs. But when I think about that, it's, if you listen to people who are saying like, oh, you'll never make it, right? Which I've had several of those conversations over my career. And it's like, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a true operator, you have to get through, I call it like the moat,
Yeah.
because, whether it's like what you dream about, what you envision it will be, if you're not willing to swim in the moat with like the alligators and knowing the risk, like, don't ever go into entrepreneurship. It
Yeah.
will crush you, because 99% of it is just literally getting your face kicked in every single day, and trying to remain positive, calm,
Yeah.
cool, and collected through it all to try to succeed.
Hmm.
And, I've had success early on in my career, right? Where, our company is valued at over $350 million.
Yeah.
And we had tier one venture partners wanting to put more in. We had, Intuit wanting to buy us. Like, when I say those things, it's just like, I started in a 150 square foot dental office when we first started that company.
Yeah.
And I just remember writing on my board, I just put, nothing is given, everything is earned.
Yeah.
And that's just been a principle that, as I build, I want to build with authenticity. I want to build authentic relationships and run my own race, because you're right. Like, no one cares until you're a household name or a
Yeah.
logo.
And
And
then
then,
they say, "Oh, look how lucky that guy
yeah.
is,"
And then,
not
yeah. And then,
realizing all that hard work.
yeah. And then people want to flock to you. But like, for me, it's not even about like the glory of it all, or like say, hey, like, I proved you all wrong at all. That's not my mentality. My mentality is, I have 23 employees that I deeply care about, that believe in a vision and want to execute.
Yeah.
And the other side to that is that they want to disrupt and change the current problems, that the way that we see those problems, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to like be like, oh, backswing's the best. They're going to stick to their own stuff. That's fine. But there are more than 200 million Americans in America. There's 65 million golfers. If you own 5% market share of 65 million golfers, you're at 3.25 million golfers. If you had 20% rebooks through the app monthly and you're compounding growth by 4%, at a $399 price point, you're doing $168 million in a year off 5% market share.
Right.
So if you work 20 years of your life on this one problem to make $168 million a year, and you only need 50 employees to scale that company, you can bless a lot of lives.
Yeah.
You help a
Yeah.
lot of people. And it's a capitalist market, but like for me, my focus is that if you listen, I think, to a lot of the noise and don't chase your dreams and kind of give up and aren't willing to really kind of go after it, like don't be an entrepreneurship. And I'm not saying that like my dad, like he's an entrepreneur, like he's an eye doctor and he owns his practices. My brother's in real estate, he's an entrepreneur, and then I have another brother who's a nurse anesthetist. And so it's just like their career and what they do is respectable, but like for me, you take the ultimate risk of there is no security, there is no guarantees, there is no absolutes, there is no like perfect or silver bullet of how you're going to grow or if people will
Right.
use what you want. My aim and my hope is that what we're building is what people want. But the
Yeah.
only way we can do that is by listening to people who, to the everyday consumer, is like, I just want to press a button, know it works. I want it under a couple seconds. And to get there, it's just like it takes time. But it's kind of like the threshold. And you ask the question is like, what's your biggest roadblock? To me, it's like breaking into the golf market that is so niche, right? Where it's like technology, there's like 25 technology providers that own golf. Whereas in
Yeah.
my last world, it was like there was 7,000 competitors. But this is a much smaller market. And so your way into this market is by sheer force in a lot of ways, but building quality relationships with people who are the needle movers, who are the gatekeepers, who are the yes, and or who are the yeses. And then it's also people saying like, hey, like I know this pro, you're trying to sell this Pro Shop Caddy tool. Okay, like I'll introduce you to him. Like every day is just about stacking bricks. And I just kind of come back to it's like, what wins did we have today? And it's like, hey, we talked to 8 pros today. Hey, we made massive progress on the app. Hey, we had over 200 downloads over the last 3 days. Hey, we've had brands reach out to us wanting to do like collaborations. We've had integration partnerships that weren't even considering us, and now they're like, hey, we want to integrate you guys.
Yeah.
And so it's just like I just look at it as just like it's just stacking bricks every day. And so like the roadblocks, I think, are what you make them. But truthfully, it's like it's a tough market to really get into from a technology perspective because technology is really like got its hooks in it, but it's antiquated and people are looking for those changes. But like even more so than I would say it's more competitive than apparel, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
Even though apparel is like dog eat dog, where it's like you're competing, and there's a lot of new apparel companies out there and they're dominating. But at the PGA show, it was thousands of apparel companies and some maybe like tech kind of pieces and some golf carts, they kind of the array, but there was 2 rows of technology providers.
Yeah.
And when I look at it, it's like technology in golf, especially when it comes to like course management or apps, really didn't show up. Like tee sheets have only been around for about 15 years, like digital tee sheets.
Yeah.
So I think that one, we're in the early frontier of golf as far as digital. I think that there's a lot of changes that are happening. And I believe that there are some tectonic shifts that will happen in the next 5 to 10 years, not to the game, but I'd also just say like to the market, call it apparel, call it YouTube, call it creator economy, call it, the PGA, call it how people are speaking to younger audiences. Where can they get those younger audiences? Like, long-winded way of saying like, what's our biggest challenge? It's taking it day by day and doing right by our customers and just making sure that we have them, and obsessing and manically maniacally, I guess,
Yeah.
focusing on the problem, right?
Yeah.
So just making sure that we're at the epicenter of why our customers are struggling, and then how do we solve that every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so that from the business perspective, that all makes complete sense, right? I see you guys out there. I see you. I mean, obviously, Greg, you're well respected in the tech community, right? You've proven yourself with a company or the other products that you were a part of and you exited. So, are you able to leverage those relationships too from your, I guess, your past
Yeah,
career, right? Or
I mean, it definitely gives us the unfair advantage, like, and what I mean by that is that backswing, and especially now that we have like the concept in the market and we're showing growth and that we're showing traction, and that like investors aren't looking at what you are today like a consumer is, they're looking at what will you be in 5 years.
yeah,
And the benefit is that a lot of tech companies, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of tech companies are usually two people who have a great idea and they bootstrap it. They put like either their life savings into it, they get convertible notes for it, and they build it. And let's say they sell it to like 200 courses, and
yeah,
then they sell it for a couple $1,000,000 because they kind of poke the bigger bear. The bigger bear has, couple, it's called $100 million, or they have a private equity arm that they're investing into new technology because a lot of that is like bolt-ons. They're like, hey, you're kind of threatening our market share here, so we're going to buy you.
yeah,
And I've already been approached by 3 private equity companies. Some where I won't mention their names, but 3 have approached Backswing and said like, hey, like, like we see what you're doing, we love what you're doing, like this would be great for like our software. But then it changes the North Star. Like we
yeah,
can't go and do the things that we set out to do. So I would say like the approach that we're taking though is we're raising venture capital. So as we prove certain metrics, and I could do probably a dissertation on raising capital when it comes to just like, your pre-seed, your seed, your A, your B, and your C round, and then either going public or exiting. The reality is you have to meet certain metrics, but by meeting those certain metrics, you unlock capital. And capital is really the differentiator between bootstrapping and trying to move with speed versus being like, we're going to sponsor the waste management. We're going to sponsor Pebble Beach.
yeah,
We're going to sponsor a player. We're going to do a $50,000 like, push towards a creator that will move the needle. We're going to do a $80,000 giveaway. So in this game, it's like you have to entertain and bring attention or you die,
yeah.
kind of in the market of
Oh,
apps, because it's a lot
yeah,
harder, right? To get like even
it-
followers for creators. It's the same principle. So for me, like our approach is in this first 2 years, startups are dead by default. And it's kind of like, and this may sound really dumb, but it's like it's the true hero's journey where it's like you have no chance. Like you have no chance. Like 1 in 4 fail, 75% die within the first 2 years.
yeah,
So it's just like your odds, you have to defy the odds, and there's no black or white. It's like there's no like gray space. It's black or white. So you have to defy the odds. So I would say it's just like what helps me is I have those relationships to capital, and then those people also have relationships to certain like courses or certain partnerships. Like I have a partnership that I'm talking to actually tomorrow, where that partnership could unlock 100 courses for us for Pro Shop Caddy, and that becomes a $1.5 million deal. Now, when you talk about burn rate, 1.5 million, it's okay. Now I can hire in 3 more backend engineers. I can
yeah.
hire in a head of digital. I can hire in a full-time
It's
content
not a
team.
time for profit. It's a time for continuous building,
Yeah,
right?
like
Yeah,
you're always dumping that money back in. But again, I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I think I've seen how companies grow profitably.
yeah,
And that's something that's really important to me, is that we grow profitably. But the thing I really care about is like those people who gave us a shot and just jumped on a call with us, i.e. John Kelly, and like
yeah,
have him on his podcast. Like I want to make sure that those people are taken care of. And kind of how we can provide that taken care of is the access. Like that's another unique thing, is like by getting those brands and for creators, We can introduce them to brand deals. We can introduce them collaborations that build social following. Like it should be an abundance mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's not all about me making money. Yes, I will make money, right? There's no secret to that.
Yeah.
I want to make money for the right reasons, but I also want to lift others up and have abundance because that's where I find my fulfillment because I have made money in my life and I've been like really unhappy and kind of found that like money isn't that fulfillment, but disruption and growth and seeing that happen and chasing after something you believe in and like being excited about that. That's the stuff that like I get stoked about. Like that's the stuff that, I'm just like finding that passion. And it's so much fun doing that with people that I see similar vision and kind of have strong opinions loosely held where they're just like, hey, like I disagree, like we should do it this way, we should do it this way. And so overall, like, yes, my last experience has helped me understand how to raise capital well. I also know the metrics that they're looking for. I know the pitch decks that I need to prepare. I know the types of people I need to communicate to. I also know how to move a bit faster towards goals, mainly just like where not to waste money, like where not to put our,
Minimizing those
yeah, like
those
making a
issues that
mistake.
you ran into before,
Yeah,
right? I'm sure a lot of that still applies to what you're doing now, right?
yeah,
I'm not again, I'm not a tech guy, right? I'm a consumer, but I would imagine that at some point you it's I'm sure at some point it's still I'm not diminishing it, but it's just another tech company, right? Like you're gonna have the same problems, a lot of the same problems I would imagine you would have had before, right?
yeah.
Just I guess for different reasons.
Yeah. And overall it's just like there's no guarantees, right? But I feel excited by this because I think there's just a lot of things I've learned where I'm like, just don't focus on these things as much because actually they don't necessarily matter. Don't focus on the vanity side of things, focus on the metrics that do matter. And we have a lot of like really positive indicators of our company, like 2 million organic social views. And that was largely because of our creators that, hey, I want to partner in this. I'll post about you guys. I'll wear your hats. Like, and, we spent $10,000 on hats to
Yeah.
ship to 138 creators. And I wrote, I don't even know how many thank you cards to creators and being scrappy and going about it that way. It's just like, we got our brand out there. And now what's really unique is I get 3 DMs a week on my little tiny 400 and I don't know, 30 following where it's just all golfers. It's all the people
Yeah.
who like believe this in the beginning. But I get 3 DMs a week saying, dude, when can I buy your hats? Where
Yeah.
can I buy swag? Your swag's sick. Like, and I'm like, cool. Like we have, brand, it's resonating. And then it's like, hey, we have organic downloads. We have daily bookings. So like these indicators of just an early stage startup, we could die in a year, but I'll be damned if I'll let that happen,
Yeah.
right? I die trying, right? Just
Yeah.
like a hero or, all that kind of stuff. But I think it does give me an unfair advantage to where it's like I do know tech, I do know how to build companies in tech, but the reality is like it also takes certain people just to say, hey, like I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we've been really fortunate is to meet some incredible people who are just like, yeah, I'll give you a shot. And that's really what it takes is that hard work or that bricklaying to where they give us a shot, they do one thing for us, but they actually don't really know how impactful that was, to them because they go and carry on with their daily lives, whether it's a creator, it's an investor, it's some sort of, alliance golf, golf alliance that is willing to say, yeah, like we'll pitch you to these people. And the next thing you know, like today, it's like, hey, like we want to include you in our package of 14,000 women
Yeah.
and we want to start selling that.
Yeah.
And that will be automatic. And we'll probably start that, the first week in March. And it's just like, dang, like that's another brick. And so, I feel like I could talk forever about all of this stuff. But the reality is like, I'm just a guy trying to build a dream and I want to make golf better.
Yeah. No, look, I know for a fact you're doing it. It was interesting. It's funny because I'm a 46-year-old dude, right? Like I'm an older dude. I'm not the typical creator age, right? And I don't even like call myself a creator. I think I've said this over and over. And I am also not a fan of calling myself or labeling myself, excuse me, like an influencer, but I finally came to realization I'm like a micro influencer, right? I don't have a huge following, but the following that I do have,
It's
people are
literally
engaged,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm transparent with every one of the brands that I work with. I obviously with you guys, with Factor right here. I work with the guys, Luke and Keaton from Course Record, great guys.
Yeah.
The wipe company I'm a part of. I don't take money from any of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to trade attention. That's all I want to do. Just trade
Yeah.
attention. I don't need to make money from it. I think I can wipe a lot of creators up on the golf course,
Yeah.
but that to me is where it's at, right? I'm not like eventually at some point someone might say, "Hey John, like we want to do this deal with you," right? Potentially. Um but that's not the reason I'm in it, right? I think the reason I feel like it's a little bit similar to what you're just trying to solve a problem, right? I want people in a similar fashion to understand that golf is accessible, right? There are these really great courses out there. You might hear bad things, you might see bad things, but if you go out and you play the golf course and you have integrity, you can go out and have a good time. So, um,
And truthfully, like what I've seen, John, is that creators who are just consistent and authentic to like their audience, there's an audience for a lot of creators. And I've worked with creators a lot more than just in backswing,
yeah,
like I have other businesses, outside of backswing. Like I have a giveaway agency. I have a digital media agency. Like I sit on a couple of different boards of companies. And in doing that, there are creators that I never want to work with
yeah,
because they're very vain, they're inauthentic, they don't care, they get money thrown at them, and then
yep,
they're accustomed to getting that. Now,
mhm,
I don't want to shit on them because truthfully, their audiences may or may not move the needle, but I've seen kind of that like give me mentality.
yep,
And I would rather work with a micro creator, even if it means I can't speak to more of their audience, because truthfully, they are their word.
yep,
And they say they were going to do what they're going to do, what they signed up for.
yep,
And then I deliver, right? I deliver what I say I'm going to do. And I think what I've seen, especially in micro creator community, is I've seen a lot of these people grow at a much higher clip rate.
yep,
Because I think what I don't want to say like everybody, but I think that social media has been around for 20 some odd years now. And I think what people are craving more and more out of social media is authenticity.
yep,
I think that when you find a creator like John, who's authentic, who's just hitting butter cuts down a fairway, I love that, and it's hard because being authentic doesn't always get attention the
yep.
same way that it does like planning and staging and creating characters out of social media. And I'm not saying that's bad. Like,
No,
you
there's a space for it for
yeah, like
sure.
you do if that's like what you're attracted to, that's your attention. Great, that's awesome. But what I thoroughly enjoy is like, John Marsh. Like, the guy has an incredible like following, but he takes pictures of golf courses.
Yeah.
He does like high resolution videos.
Mhm.
And I love following him. I love Tyson Lamb,
Yep.
right? Where it's Tyson Lamb, I went on a golf trip with him, with my co-founder out to Tree Farm in Old Barnwell, and we did a competition, and he made everybody their own custom ball marker
Mhm.
with their initials in it. And he does a limited run of putters. Like he did a putter 3 years ago, and his putters sell for 3 to 8K on eBay right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Ball markers are $150 to $250. And, he's been approached by TaylorMade. He's been approached by these people, and he's told them no. And
Yeah.
it's unique because like I kind of follow a lot of those people and I genuinely enjoy watching them,
Yep.
right? And I think that in the golf world, like there's like the authenticity and then there's like the fun side, right? But I would say that there's a healthy mix of like we like to work with a lot of different types of creators, a lot of different types of audiences, but in working with a creator like, as we, talk to them about wanting to drive backswing views or attention or different things, that's one of the things I really look out for like in the beginning is like, are you an authentic person and will your audience actually resonate with you? Or does this just seem like another brand deal that you're pushing that macro creators may not be able to move the needle on quite like they used to
Yep.
because people are like, this is something that I'm not even interested in. And again, I think there's a delicate balance of where it's like you're authentic to how you've created your channel and you stick to it and you blow it up. But I also think that there is a very healthy amount of people that want more authentic people in what
Yeah.
they're building, and whether it's like trying to teach them something or giving them a laugh or whatever. And then there's the creators, who it's like you feel like they're untouchable.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, hey, throw $80,000 at me. And I'm like, well, what's the return that, we're expecting?
Yeah.
And they
That
can't come up
that's
with a number. And,
exactly.
and that's what's
Exactly.
really hard for me is that's like, as a business owner, I think that over the early stage of creatorship, a lot of them were throwing so much money without doing it. But like, there are tools that I use that I can plug in your Instagram, your X, your YouTube, and look up your engagement and
Yep.
look up how much we should be paying per post
Yep.
for you if we do engage that way. But again, it's just like, I'm not trying to say, hey, we don't want to work with people. I'm trying to say, I want to work with authentic people
Yep.
and people who are like, yeah, like I am going to create 3 stories in a post. I'm going to give it like an honest effort that works for my audience and my creative ability. Because the thing that I'm not good at is creative. Like if you watch like my Instagram channel, it's like I'm like, cool. I post 3 videos. I pick the first soundtrack
Yep.
and then I hit post.
Yep.
There's no methodology to what I do. Now we do have Bird on our team where I'm
Yep.
like, Bird, I want it to be relatable content. I want it to be funny content. I want to provide content to kind of everybody, whether it's educational. And it's like, I'll let you decide, like be fully creative, right? And then I get it there and he's like, this is what you're going to say, this is what you're going to do. I'm like, okay, awesome. Sounds good.
Yep.
And so again, like it's tough. And you as a creator, like I respect people who are like willing to put themselves out there because it's not easy if you put yourself out online.
Yep.
And it's not easy to like talk to, what you like to do or what your passion is. But again, there are people who are like, hell yeah, like I love watching this guy's stuff. And I
Yeah.
can tell you, like I'm on the gram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, and I watch people's stuff all the time because I want to know what people are kind of listening to, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the whole creator thing is interesting. I learned a lot at that creator open. I heard a lot about the creator lifestyle. And let me tell you, I'm happy I have a 401k. I'm happy I have a good job. I'm happy
Yeah.
I have benefits. I'm happy that I can go on vacations. I'm happy I don't have to sell my soul. I'll just say that. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. And
Yeah.
um
And it's
that
almost
was
like,
interesting to me.
it's almost like to get to that next level, it's like people will go into this, the craziest side of getting there. And I've seen that. I've had a lot of friends who've become very successful creators, and
Yeah.
I've helped creators with their deals, structuring their deals. I've done a lot of that stuff for some pretty massive creators.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's very tough to crack that niche to be able to be somebody that their full-time gig is content.
Yeah.
Their full-time gig is brand deals. But
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, and I won't name names, but I have a friend who has over 10 million followers and still doesn't know how to monetize his audience outside
Yeah.
of his views.
Yeah.
That he's not barely making it, like he's making it. But when I say like from a perspective of like his audience and his following, like there's a lot of creators where it's like there's very few who've been able to really make it unless there's some tie to like subscription or they have a
Yeah.
brand that isn't even a part of them, unless it's like Mr. Beast or Logan Paul or some of these other
Sure.
creators hit the early part of creators, creator economy. And it's not to say that it's not a big blue ocean. You can't go dominate, go for it if that's what you want to do. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people where it's like they even get to the stage and they're like, yeah, like I was doing so many views, but it cost me 500 grand to make the video.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
scale,
Yeah.
and my net return off that even profitability was like 100 grand.
Yeah.
And then I dump that into our employees. So it's like, we're netting, call it $300,000-$400,000 a year, which is awesome income. But yeah, there's a ton, like, especially if you go from short form content, TikTok,
Yeah.
IG, and then try to turn it into something that's long form, and then to try to turn that into something that's merch that people want to
Yeah.
buy,
Yeah.
or not only just merch or a brand, like a company, like a CPG company, and then trying to scale that and operate that while your full-time content going, and then try to sell that, and your CPG brands are only selling, if you're lucky,
Yeah.
for call it a 4 to 5x multiple. If you can get a 6x multiple on your CPG brand, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
And kind of going down the creator lane, it's like I don't I just look at it as I love it. I love watching Instagram. I love the golf. I love the relatable, funny golf. I love everything about it, but I also like love nothing more than just like an authentic creator that's like doesn't take themselves too seriously,
Yeah.
can laugh at themselves, and instead of trying to like retake frames for every like shot or different things like that, it's like, man, like I totally get it. But at the same time, it's like that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm one guy. I'm not a person who's like, oh my gosh, like I can feed into everything of what I see on social media and believe it. Like that's
Yeah.
like the gospel. But
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm a I'm just a big fan to your point of authenticity, but, yeah, I think what you're doing, backswing. I mean, look, I wouldn't be, I, I say this a lot. I kind of subscribe to this Shaquille O'Neal way of thinking. I'm not endorsing anything if I don't use it. And it has to work for me. If it doesn't work for me, I am not going to go out there and use a Scotty Cameron putter. They don't work for me. I use like one of the original Seymour putters, right? That's what works for me. People are like, "Oh my God, where'd you get that?" Well, it was $80 on
yeah,
Facebook Marketplace, right? I got this, I got that drive or whatever. I'm just not into that. And, I love some more supporting small brands, right?
yeah.
I look at
And I'm the
Backswing like
same
I
way.
was, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm the same way. Like I I think I have more appreciation to those people and like a deep sense of gratitude. Like because it's what gave me the opportunity. I'll never forget it. So in the early days of my last company, it was, I was working in a call center. I was waking up at 5:30 or 4, driving up to the call center that was 45 minutes away from me so I could work there so that way I could spend time working on my startup. At that time, I lived with my in-laws and my in-laws. We had a 4-month-old baby. Like they were providing meals for us. Like we could barely even make it. And it's so I could work on this thing from 1 until call it 1 in the morning and then, drive Lyft or Uber or whatever it is, like just to try to make it happen.
Yeah.
And like it was 12 months to where it's like, I think first 6 months we didn't even get a customer
Yeah.
software. And then it was, you know, we had switched up softwares. Like it's like, hey, like let's start DMing like different brands on Instagram. So I started sending videos, because before I was like knocking, like literally knocking like door to door in small businesses to get our software in there. And there was this guy, his name's Caleb Perkins, and I messaged him on Instagram, and then he shot me over to Diesel Dave and Heavy D with like the Diesel brothers out of
Yep.
Utah. And I said, hey, I want to build this software. And he's like, hey man, like we're in a bind, like we need help with this customer service problem with text. And we accidentally sent out all these messages and yada yada. Can like you help us? And I remember I took our 4 employees down to their office and I stayed up till 4 in the morning with all four employees building, working on, helping them. And then he's just like, yeah, like you can build this product. And that was literally the product that we're taking to 30 million plus in revenue.
Yeah.
One product in that moment of like just trying and getting after it and going after it. And the one thing that the guy said, he's like, the reason why I liked you is because you're authentic, but on top of it, you were a small brand. I could tell that you were going to give me more
Yeah.
than maybe some of these other companies that were bigger than you.
Been a
And
salesperson who has no skin other than getting paid in a commission. Yeah.
yeah, like, and I think that's always been in the back of my mind where, like I see these companies at the PGA show, like, there's 45 electric company or electrolyte companies that were
Yeah.
there. There were all these new brands that were there. But I think for me, it's kind of like the old kind of story of like TaylorMade and kind of like how TaylorMade grew and the way that TaylorMade grew and or grow. And I think it's just really cool. And, whether or not the actual story, it's like, his name is Gary Adams. And, he basically was a son of like a pro, and he basically was like he was a former golf kind of like equipment sales guy. And so really like what was kind of around that time was like your wood face clubs with like either metal plates screwed
Yeah.
into them.
Yep.
So he took 24 grand in startup capital, and then he actually took a home equity loan out on his
Mhm.
house. And then he took three people, and then basically it's like his first driver they made was a 12 degree driver out of Pittsburgh. And then it was kind of like the first modern metal driver,
Yep.
where it was like lower launch, easier forgiveness. And then it was kind of just like, hey, instead of like wood and metal, he's like, hey, there has to be something different. And then his first year, they did 47 grand in sales. This is TaylorMade we're talking about,
Yeah.
where the top
Yep.
three PGA players in the world are using TaylorMade products. And whether or not you use TaylorMade, I don't care. You can use any club you want.
Yep.
But then they used to call it like, the PGA merchandise show before the PGA show.
Yep.
And that's where he did that $47,000 in sales. And then they basically had this breakthrough, where there was this PGA Tour player. His name was Ron Streck. And I think he ended up winning the 1981 Houston Open with their driver. And, call it growth, call it getting lucky, but essentially like he grew it to like, I think it was 1984 before Adidas bought it. And then it's kind of traded hands a few times, but essentially his belief in that startup capital and that early home loan ultimately led us to a household name.
Yep.
So I think I have this mentality that all the big brands, call it at the PGA show, big tech companies, you name it, they all have to start somewhere.
Of
What,
course. Of course.
that's taking loans out, that's working in a call center, that's living with your in-laws, whatever it is.
Yep.
Well, you gotta start somewhere, and you just gotta keep trucking away. And sometimes, you know, it works out really, really well. And then other times, like you fell. Like I've had 6 other businesses fail before I had a very successful business.
Yeah.
And like now I'm on this one again, and there's a likelihood that it could fail. And I think there's a very realistic approach that I have, because oftentimes founders can get delusional and then it becomes their own brand identity.
Yeah.
But again, for me, I just keeping it very simple. It's just like, I want to build something. I want to disrupt something. I want to do right by the golfer, right by the course, keep it simple, and solve problems. So it's
Yeah. I
like,
mean, you guys, you're definitely on your way. I mean, for sure. For sure. And I'm really excited because I got to see like the earliest iterations of all the things you've been talking about. And it's funny. I remember the message you sent me and said, "Hey man, we would love to." Actually, I think it was Noah. Noah reached out and was like, "Hey," he's like, he goes, "We would love for you to be a part of this and whatnot." And then you and I had some conversations. I was like, "Well, how did you find me?" And you said you saw me on Instagram. And you were like, "Dude, you have a really smooth, sweet swing." Like that was what it was. And I worked really hard on that, by the way, especially for an old guy with a bad
I was
back.
being honest. I was
But
being honest.
yeah,
Swing, man.
everyone has been very welcoming and very helpful. Even before anyone even saw the app in I guess even an idea beta test of it, so many people bought in. I was one of them, right? I believed what you were saying because I'm like, okay, these guys are actually solving a pretty significant problem. And of course, me and so many other people were like, "Oh, how long is it going to be until you have like a GPS system? How long is it going to be until you do this? How long before you do that?" And I mean, I'm excited to be a part of this. And this might sound crazy, but I'm more excited for you and for your team to build this thing out. Like, I'm really, like, I've said, I've been told a lot, Greg, I have so many ideas, dude, but I'm an idea guy. I'm very risk adverse, right?
Yeah.
Because I grew up so poor, and my biggest fear in life, which is crazy, is being broke, right?
Yeah.
But then
It's
when
a good fear to have, man. I think that there's far, like there's a lot of fears, but that is definitely one of them. It's like, my fear is the fear of failure, right? And what I
right,
mean by that is like not living up to my potential, like trying to die average,
yeah,
like, that's just an individual thing. Like that's
yeah.
not me broadcasting my own
Oh,
internal.
I'm gonna have ton of regrets when I'm
But
85 years old, for
but for,
sure.
but for me, I totally resonate with that. And like, yeah, like you saw the app when we had a prototype. Like when
Yep.
I talk about that, like a clickable prototype,
Yep.
that would be like maybe TaylorMade taking their first 12-degree driver and being like, John, this is the future. And you're like, yeah, bullshit. Look at
Yep.
this awesome wood club that I have that's,
Yep.
Ken Hogan. And now look at the golf technology that exists today because of metal drivers and, you know, kind of moving away from stainless steel and carbon fiber and flex shafts and you name it. Like
Yep.
it's insane to see that because somebody just took a shot on goal, like it changed the actual and revolutionized the sport. But yeah, like, for us, like we started really on because we wanted to validate and get and kind of an army behind us of how do we get this into market.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things we got wrong with that model. There's a lot of things that we got really right with that model. And there are people that will come and go like in your support, but I also feel like I genuinely mean what I say. Like, I want to make sure that people can benefit from being a part of the backswing ecosystem, whether that's using our product, over time, like being able to acquire and put more money and investing into people. Like, that's something we don't have. And I've always been transparent about that from the beginning. I remember like our first conversation where I'm like, guys, we are a brand new basement ground floor startup.
Yep.
Like, we are not established. We do not have hundreds of thousands of dollars to throw at you. And if you don't want to do this, I promise you, like, it's totally fine. Like, I think just being mature in business and recognizing like people aren't going to move or spend their time, I totally recognize that. But
Yep.
those who are willing to help out, it's like kind of like how I said earlier, it's like give you a shot. And
Yep.
that's where I feel like for us, we were able to make that splash into market that kind of has kicked this off. But I feel like if we continue kind of the current path we're on, we're going to just continue to snowball. And, if you can become one of those companies that can take market share, there's some pretty special things that I want to do for those people, call it like your early people and also give back. Like, I think it's a huge portion of what I really want to do is like be that company that can buy rentals for the kids that didn't have clubs,
Yeah. I
because
love that idea.
you could call it like the next Scotty Schefflers or Tiger Woods are out there, but they don't have a set of clubs
Yep.
to play with.
Yeah.
You just never know,
I was
like,
that kid. I was that kid.
and
I had
so
to
it's just
use I had to, I
or
had to use the uncle's set of clubs.
or just the money to actually compete. Like, I
Yep.
mean, it like to find a way. I mean, Tiger Woods' mom and dad's story is really inspiring and what they did to get him into the next level. But the amount of sacrifice and financial strain to do that,
Yep.
and then put it into your kid who has to still go out and play and how competitive it is from, high school to golf and NIL kind of opens up a lot more for that, which
Yep.
is really nice for people. But I think that's really important to me is like, how can I give back in a very meaningful way? And it's like into the youth of golf, I think is like one of the special ways that you can kind of give back and be a company who can do that. I mean, those are just dreams and ambitions and then follow through to where it's like, can we go into like older courses and update like their mats, update maybe their range balls, work with our partners and get those partners to donate, like I
Yeah.
think it's like kind of like that world to where golf is a very expensive sport
Yep.
at the youth level. It's expensive, for consistent buckets of balls and the amount of balls you have to hit, So yeah, there's a lot of dreams, there's a lot of ambitions, but as far as
Yep.
ideas, like never stop giving them to us because I promise I'm listening.
Yeah.
We're just prioritizing them so we can just chip away.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And I don't like I it's funny. I think as I'm getting older, like my excitement level isn't as visible as it has been in the past. But I believe in what you guys are doing. Like I wouldn't still be on the ride, right? I would have been like, look, it's not I can't tell you how many people I've turned down. People are like, hey man, I'll throw money. I don't like money does not motivate me.
Yeah.
I love seeing people win, right? I love seeing I've been a baseball coach and I coached golf at a local high school and it has nothing to do with anything for me except for letting these young people realize that you can win, right?
You get a great
Or
deal of fulfillment out of that.
yeah, and again, my buddy Justin, he'll call me. He's like, "Hey man, I need help at the local place." I'm like, "All right, what do you need?" He's like, "Oh, can you go do this? Can you do it?" Like, "Yep, I'm good." And I never have expectations of anything back, right? There's a lot of story behind that, but I do things without expectation of anything in return, right?
Yeah. And that's
Ever.
a great way to live your life. Like, and I feel like to me, that's my operating system to its core is that I don't expect the return.
Yeah.
And I genuinely enjoy that. My grandpa, I was on another podcast, but you know, you can be rich in wealth, like, and I think you should try to always aim for that for
Yeah.
sure. And then you can be rich in relationships. And my grandpa was, a contractor, had 10 kids. They got married like super young,
Yeah.
like 16, 15, had twins. Like they worked it out. They're married for 50 years before he got cancer. Or before my grandma got cancer. And he got a brain aneurysm. They both passed away pretty early. But like he was like a mountain of a man to me, like just this guy. But the thing that's crazy is how many grandkids he had. He made them their priority.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like if I can be wealthy, that's one thing and I can aim to that. But it's like if I could be wealthy in relationships and which one I would rather
Yeah.
have, one comes with struggle, but I would say, a lot of fulfillment where if you can combine the both or combine the two, and you're kind of, I almost say it's like the right person that should
Yeah.
be wealthy, but it's just like having both would be amazing. But I feel like being rich in relationships is kind of what I want to be known for and like that fulfillment of giving back to people and
I'm a
building
I'm a legacy guy too. I'm a
like
legacy guy too,
yeah
right? I,
like
I
having
would love for at some point, like down the road, to have like a little league baseball field named after me or something. Like I know that sounds cheesy or whatever, but like
John
or
Kelly sounds a hell of a lot better than Greg Woodfield on a
no, no, Greg
I'm
Woodfield would
telling you,
be
like
yeah,
that John Kelly on a baseball diamond would be pretty sick. I mean, yeah, man, I'd rather live a life legacy and really try to go after my goals. And I ask my kid the same questions every night. I say, what can you do? And he says, everything. I say, what do you want to be? He says, a leader. And I say, what can we make? He says, mistakes. I said, why do we make mistakes? He says, so we can learn.
yep,
So do champions ever give up? He says no. And I said, who has your back? And he's like, dad and
yeah,
mom.
yeah,
And that was out of Jax. But it's just like, I think for me, it's just if you're telling your kids things and you're giving them advice, I just don't want to be a hypocrite to my own advice I give my kids.
yeah,
So if I'm telling them like champions never give up, can you chase everything? Can you do everything? Like all those things is like I should probably embody that because I got
yeah,
a little that's gonna
yeah,
carry on. You see,
yeah,
yeah. And so, even deeper to golf, it's just like, there's more to life than just the business. There's more to life than making money. But yeah, money is there's like the piece that can definitely help with that,
it helps. It helps. It could
And,
help a lot.
and
Yeah,
the more money I can make, the more I feel like for me, I'm like a simpleton. I feel like, I
yeah,
have a pretty nice home. Like I don't drive flashy cars. Like there are things that I can definitely purchase, but I've never been that person that's like, that's really where I find the value or the
yeah,
fulfillment. I
yeah.
feel kind of find more fulfillment in lifting, building, and abundance, and it's just like
Love it.
that's the fun stuff.
Love
So
it. Love it. Love it. Um, all right, man. Well, look, we talked for a long time, dude. I really appreciate your time and I'm looking forward to seeing how I can continue to add value or maybe add more value. I know with what's coming up in 2026, the app's out there. I'll actually be able to play golf. At the end of 2025 was a little rough for me, a
yeah,
little rough, but
remember,
yeah,
remember,
but it's all good, and you know, I will say this: I'm going to be out in Utah in July.
dude,
Um,
out of
I'm going to
golf.
be playing. I don't know where you're located, but I'll be up in Smithfield
Yeah, yeah.
at
So be
Birch Creek.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to be
yeah,
playing there in an event.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, you come to Utah, I'll take care of you, man. So come, let's play some golf. We'll go and play some cool courses, and then also just if it's not golf, grabbing lunch or dinner, I'd love that. It'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, we'll set that up. My wife and I, we were in Provo for a few days uh last year, just like a quick in and out, and we looked around and we're like, we definitely have to come back. So a guy I know, Cam Widener from he's just Go For It Golf. He puts on a charity event, and I told him I'll come. So I already booked everything, man. We're gonna be flying in to Salt Lake City, staying there at the airport the first night because we get in late, and
Yeah.
then the next couple days we're going to be at University Inn up
Yeah.
in up in northern Utah.
Yeah. You're gonna when you said July?
Yeah, it'll be July, I think July 8th through the 12th. We're coming home the 12th or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're gonna love because you're gonna be up in like Smithfield, like Logan, like that valley up there is
Yeah,
beautiful. Courses up there are pretty sweet. They have a really cool they have a couple of different, but like Logan River is a
yeah,
really golf course up there. It's really tight fairways, reeds are everywhere,
yeah,
pretty tough course.
yeah,
But yeah, Logan's beautiful, especially in July. I mean, it'll be hotter for sure, but it's gonna be really pretty and it's cooler up in the valley, which is nice. So
yeah, yeah. Well, look, we still have 3 inches of ice here on top of 4 inches of snow. So
it's so weird that the East Coast is like, I mean, I understand, like, I'm not completely oblivious to like snow, ice, rain, all that stuff. But for Utah, yeah, I get people texting me like, hey man, like coming out to ski. And I'm like, you chose the worst year on planet Earth to come out here
yeah,
because our resorts, like our ski season is just terrible. Like we have no snow. It's like at my house, I have zero snow right now.
yeah,
It's cold, but it's been fluctuating between like 20 degrees to 60 degrees because
yeah,
Utah does
yeah,
that. But it's very uncharacteristic for us to not have snow. But like 4 years ago, we had the biggest snow season in
yeah,
history.
yeah,
And I had like 8 feet of snow, like it just piled up. So I just driving my car through it.
yeah, yeah. It's been bad. I mean, it hasn't gotten above, today was 37, which is like summertime for us, but we had wind chills of like, minus 15, minus 20 for weeks. Dude, I don't remember it ever being like this, but anyway, looking forward to coming out there to Utah. Hopefully we can connect. If we don't connect, then we'll definitely connect at some point. But is there anything, I mean, I think you explained a lot, right? So where can people find all of your stuff where they should go and figure out how to get um the Backswing app. I'm gonna put my link in here so
Yeah.
it comes from me.
Simple is just go to John's link and it will take you either to your iOS or your Android. That's where we're built on. And then you'll go through our new onboarding flow, which is pretty sweet. It's just first name, last name, phone number. It's kind of like all squished into one page, and then you're ready to rock. So pretty simple. It's just go to John's link and download the app that way. And then if you're looking for us like on social, it's Backswing HQ with the green B or the B on the hats.
Yep.
And then if you want to follow my crappy golf game, feel free to follow Backswing CEO, so.
Well, let me address one thing about your uh self-proclaimed crappy it's not crappy, number one. Your swing and your game has gotten better. I will say that. I don't know if you're practicing more, maybe you got a lesson, or maybe you're just, enjoying it more. That's the secondary piece.
Yeah.
Who hit you in the head with the golf ball?
Yeah, I'll show the staples in the head. They're
Yeah,
still there for anybody who
yeah,
wants to see
yeah,
proof.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna scream. Yeah, that might be the thumbnail right there.
And it was kind of interesting. So I was at the Good Desert Open. So I went out for the waste management, but they had the grass leagues. And if you don't know what that is, it's par 3 leagues. Grass clippings out in Arizona is a night lit course. They're par 3 holes only. Good did their tournament. They bring in celebrities and then they golf with the YouTubers. And it's kind of towards the end of the night, and the green was about, if I were looking directly behind the green, I was probably 40 yards behind the green, and there were spectators all around the green. So I couldn't even see like the flag stick or anything, but I was talking this way. So if the green's over here, I was talking to Mitch, who's my co-founder in Backswing. And we were just talking. I'm like, man, that was so good. And that was the last thing I remember before I felt like I got hit in the head with a hammer, is probably the best way I could describe it. And it was like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And I blacked out. So I have a concussion still, but
Oh my God, dude.
and really lucky because I could have been hitting the temple, face, eye, you name it.
Yeah.
Like I could have died. There's a lot there to unpack.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Kind of like as soon as like darkness went away and I opened my eyes, like I was stumbling and I was about to fall. So I caught myself. Luckily, I don't know how that happened. But it was kind of weird because this lady, was like, hey, like you got hit in the head with the golf ball, but like I threw up my hands, like I was like ready to fight somebody because I thought
Yeah.
somebody punched me in the top of the head. I
Yeah.
was like, my first thought. And I wasn't like disoriented, like I wasn't like seeing crazy things. I just like was trying to process what was happening. And then Mitch like pulled my face up. He's like, dude, are you okay? You just got hit in the head. And then all of a sudden I just feel blood start like funneling down my face.
Yeah.
And like my first inclination was like, I want to get this on my shirt. So like I leaned over and it was
Yeah.
just like just coming out of my head like crazy.
Yeah.
And this lady like came over and she tried to like pull up my shirt and she's like, put this on your head and put pressure. I'm like, lady, I'm like, I'm not taking off my mask in front of all these people. Like that's my biggest fear. We're not doing that right now. And it was
A lot of
hilarious.
cameras around.
Got a lot of cameras. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Then like all of a sudden I see like Melosi come up, and then I see Jordan Davis, and I knew who Melosi was, but because he lives in Utah and
Yeah.
obviously like backswing and stuff.
Big Phillies fan, Melosi is, by the way.
Yeah, but I
Big
didn't,
Phillies fan.
but I didn't know who the other guy was.
Yep.
But Jordan Davis, he's a country singer. He's pretty
Yep.
famous. I
He's
heard
a
his song.
huge human being, dude.
Yeah, giant,
Yeah.
giant.
Yeah.
He just came over to me, like kind of put his arm on me. He's like, and I was kind of leaning over. He's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, he was kind of in shock that it happened, right? Because he saw me like
Yeah.
bloody.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I just did this to this dude.
Yeah.
And and then next thing you know, I was like taking a picture, and I was like looking over there, and everybody's looking at the camera. So I had like again, still not really processing like
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Man, just go golf. Like, you're good. Like, I got this from here. Like, yeah, like we're good." And then
Yeah.
the EMTs came. They gave me like a bunch of stuff put on my head, and then they asked me a ton of questions. And my pain was like a 2 out of 10. So it was like kind of wild because I'm not trying to like tout like I'm like this like
Yeah.
big body like dude,
No,
but
I get it. I get it.
it was just kind of this weird thing to where it's like I think I was still in shock. The adrenaline was running through my body. So like went to the EMT tent that they had there. He's like, listen, you have to get staples in your head. It's too big. It's just gonna keep coming open. Like, gotta go to the emergency room. And then I went to the emergency room and I was talking to the doctor, and the doctor was asking me, like, so what happened? I was like, well, I was at an event. I own a golf app, and he like downloaded it there. And he's like, well, he's like, concussion protocol is still for you. So if you see like blurry vision, you're passing out, nausea,
Yeah.
any one of those things. But then he's like, so you want anesthetic or whatever? And I was like, no, I was like, just staple it. And the staples actually hurt worse than getting hit by the golf
I
ball. Like,
believe it. Yeah.
because I expect the staples, whereas the golf ball is so unexpected.
Yeah.
And then later that night, I think Melosi gave Jordan Davis my number, and he's like, hey, I just want to say I'm so sorry and I apologize. And so I was like, dude, I didn't have that really on my bingo card, and no one can predict that. As like accidents happen, I'm like, no worries, like
Yeah.
I'm good. Like could have been a lot worse, but I'm like a couple staples and a concussion, and then the next 3 days when I was at the waste management, I was like, and I still kind of am. I feel like it's getting better, but it's like I was a glitchy robot that like
Yeah.
stopped. Since
Yeah.
that's the first concussion I've ever had, but that's
Yeah.
the golf ball hit me at the good open. But
God, man. I've been hit. I was hit in the calf, and I was hit in like right above my butt cheek.
yeah,
And it was like from a driver. Like I was in the fairway, and it hurts. I can't
yeah,
imagine getting hit in the head, but you're right. I mean, you're really, really lucky. And
yep, yep,
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
that is
it can be
crazy.
like terrible, but I feel like my pain, even the next day, it's just like it was more tender. But I was expecting like a Donald Duck, like a goose
Yeah,
egg,
like a big,
and then I was expecting like really bad headaches. But truthfully, like I think he just bladed it, and it
yeah.
came around, and it just skipped off the top of my head,
Oh,
and it's just what it is,
God.
man.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. Like, God, man,
The only
that's
thing I will say is anybody who's listening to this, if you were one of the spectators around the green, I asked Mitch, I asked Dallin, I asked my employees who were there. I said, did anybody say four or did anybody say ball? Did anybody say anything? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's so bad because if
yeah,
a ball goes over the top of the green and it's going behind you, my first inclination would be like, four, look
yeah,
at
yeah.
it.
And then everyone just kind of does that,
Where like
right?
you're
Yeah,
kind of like you're able to kind of like get in the fetal position quicker,
yeah.
but like not to say that it would have hurt any less or maybe that wouldn't happen, but
Yeah, but if it would have missed you completely.
like as like you guys, as like just say four, as like there's a reason why you either wait for the person in front of you. So is it just golf etiquette, being hit by a golf ball,
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I didn't get hit in the temple or like lost an eye or broke my
Yeah.
teeth, shattered my
Yeah.
eye.
I have this
I don't.
horrible fear outside of being broke. The biggest
Yeah.
one is getting hit in the teeth with something
Oh
or like
yeah.
falling and hitting my teeth on like a curb. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Did
just
that.
terrible.
Tripped over a hockey stick when I was a little kid. So like
Oh, really?
I don't know if I'm accident prone or just like those things happen to me, but it's like hilarious because I had my appendix out at the first of the year in emergency surgery. And then like that was January 5th. And then it's like March or February 5th. It's like get hit in the head by a golf ball. And so my wife's like, hey, first week of March, I'm wrapping you in bubble and you're just like
Yeah.
staying down.
Well, like I had and I don't know if you saw or you know, but when I left the Creator Open the following Monday, I had a heart attack, dude.
No way.
Yeah, I had a heart attack.
I
And
remember you said you had back problems when we last
no,
chatted.
yeah, so I had like sciatica stuff. I'm pretty straight with that. But yeah, I came home Sunday. Monday I had to put my cat down. She was 12, she was old, she had a good life. The following Monday, I was like, man, something like I felt like a quick little like a super fast, faster than that. And my mom passed 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago from a massive heart attack. She was 72. Her brother, my uncle, was 38. My grandfather was 52. My aunt was like 66 or something like that. And that's one of the big reasons I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that stuff, right? But yeah, so my wife got home from work and I was like, hey, I was like, I'm gonna jump in a shower real quick. We're gonna run down to the hospital just to get checked out. Went down, I had two narrowings. They weren't blockages. Um, but yeah, I had a heart attack. That was Monday. They put two stents in on Tuesday. Came in on Wednesday, said go pick your medication up and you can go ahead and go home. And that was it. And they went through my wrist here. I don't know if you can see there's like a little red dot there. Went there, I felt the whole thing up through there and I
Dude,
was they told me I was a diabetic. I'm off of insulin now and like I'm down like 30 pounds already. I have
awesome.
another probably 20 to go, but yeah, it's you know, all I'll say is this. Anyone who listens to this, including you have young kids. Make sure you get your blood work done and make sure you see a cardiologist. And the rest is easy.
Yeah.
The rest is easy. No matter
That's
how young you are, right?
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I'm only 34,
Okay.
right? But I'm out of my 20s. I'm starting to go towards the 40s.
Yep. 40 it all really does fall apart.
That is something that, as dumb as it sounds, I'm like, things hurt more, like just different things. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not in my 20s. But
Yeah.
again, like, I think that is something that, you can ignore the problems and the signs a lot and then have that happen. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're still here. But
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
dude, this has been awesome. I'm
Yeah.
really grateful that you took the time, and obviously we had to reschedule and a bunch of things,
No
but
worries.
it's been amazing just to sit and talk to somebody about golf, my passion, to have somebody willing to listen. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
everything you've done for Backswing,
Yeah,
genuinely.
and if there's anything I can do, just ask. Just like you're asking me to give you feedback. If there's something I can do, if there's a little piece of content, if there's a communication, whatever, let me know and I'll do it. I am going to ask. I can reach out to you after this, or maybe Hayden or whomever else on the team. But if I can get some of those pre-recorded screens,
Yeah,
kind of showing different things,
yeah,
I'll start putting it out because I'm telling you, right now, I was at the golf course that I'm partnering with earlier tonight, and they were saying they're already getting phone calls of people setting up like they want to set tee times up already. I mean, there will be snow on the ground, but there will be grass showing. People will be out playing golf here.
yeah, yeah. It's the same in Utah. It's like if it's 42 or higher, like
Yeah,
people be on the course. And
yeah,
that just goes to show how amazing golf is.
yeah.
But yeah, totally. I'll definitely do that and I'll follow up. But seriously, this has been awesome, John. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course, of course. And so again, everyone, this is Greg Woodfield with Backswing. Is it Backswing? Is it just Backswing?
Just backswing.
Because it was
So
Backswing Social for, that's how I always referred to it,
we
right?
started as like building our social community, but really it's Backswing is the name of our
Got it.
app.
Got it. Okay.
Q is social. So Backswing is a pretty common name to try to take. And so we're
Yeah.
kind of migrating and slowly taking it over.
I
So
got you. I got you. All right. So this is John, the Bumbling Golfer, episode number 29. Greg Woodfield with Backswing. It's an app. Go check it out on your phone, Apple, Android, or iOS and Android. Um, yeah, it's great. It's a free app to go out and schedule your stuff. The benefits are huge. They're a great company. Again, if you got this far, I really appreciate it. Been super interesting. But Greg, thank you again for your time, and tell everyone I said hi. And can't wait to at some point we will play golf together. And
all
yeah, have a good time for sure.
right. Thanks, John.
All right, man.